Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. And for those that had to take 83, hopefully everyone was able to get here safely, too. That was a little bit of a mess today, and hopefully everyone is okay on the highway. Again, good morning. I appreciate my colleagues that are behind me today. Specifically want to commend Representative Mao and Grove, who are not here today, for really helping drive the train from the House side, and along with Senator-elect Kristen Phillips-Hill, Representative Miller and Keefer also here as well. They were instrumental as well as the whole General Assembly. But Representatives Mao, soon-to-be Senator Kristen Phillips-Hill, and Grove were really a huge part of really driving the train legislatively. Again, Representative Keefer and Miller as well. They were really what helped get us here today, which is this is the first time that we are aware of in Pennsylvania history that both the Delaware River Basin Commission and the Susquehanna River Basin Commission were audited at roughly the same time to try to give a comprehensive view of these two important commissions, the work they do, how they use public money, and what the future of these two important agencies must be. And it is critical to note that they are charged with making sure that Pennsylvanians in those commission compacts, along with the other states that work with them, that people have access to clean and quality drinking water. The compacts were formed to give states that share these rivers a voice in what happens to them and to ensure water resources are shared fairly. The 2017 state budget legislation authorized my office to conduct these performance audits because the commissions received significant taxpayer support. In the 2016-17 fiscal year, Pennsylvania gave $473,000 to the Susquehanna River Basin Commission and $434,000 to the Delaware River Basin Commission. That's over $900,000 in tax dollars from hardworking Pennsylvania families. The commissions also charge millions of dollars in fees to businesses along both rivers. Municipalities also pay, as do other entities that withdraw water from the rivers or discharge wastewater. Those fees can impact the rates we all pay for municipal water services and other items, including sewer fees, depending on where you are located. Although the commissions are not state government agencies, they operate in the public interest and rely on taxpayer support, meaning they have an obligation to be transparent to the public, certainly to the legislature and to the governor's office, but more importantly to the public on how those funds are spent. We looked at both commissions for the 2016-17 fiscal year and examined everything from top to bottom. Now, while we did that, we were looking at the quality drinking water and how they spent the fees. I will tell you that in my 10 years Auditor General, I get asked a lot of times, is this the first time you've seen this? Well, today is one of those days. In our audit of the Susquehanna River Basin Commission, and I wish I were making this up, we found charges for $1,001 in alcoholic beverages. Let me repeat that, $1,001 for alcohol beverages. It is the height of arrogance, to believe the taxpayers and the people that pay fees and all of our municipal authorities should be contributing any dollar amount to someone's purchase of alcohol. That number needs to be zero, $1,001. I know, you see me here. I mean, how many times have you seen me speechless as Auditor General? Well, now you're getting to experience that today, because this is a stunning first. The height of arrogance. But it doesn't stop there. We'll go into more details of this later, but we're talking food, filet mignon. I mean, you've got kids that go to school in Pennsylvania that are hungry. And some of the commission meetings are giving members filet mignon. We got kids that are going to school hungry in Pennsylvania. And they're getting filet mignon. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I want to be 100% clear on this. I don't want to hear any crap about nuance, about what this, it was from this fund and not that fund and any of that other crap and that nonsense. This is public money that was used. Public money. So I don't want to hear it. I know somebody's out there writing a press release right now when they're hearing this. I don't want to hear it. Go give that nonsense and that crap to somebody else. I'm not putting up with it. And if it was such a good idea, why are they now committing to not doing it anymore? Now, they said because of our audit, the SRBC is going to stop doing this practice. And we can talk a little bit more about this later. But I believe the General Assembly is going to have some very frank discussions with the commission moving forward as we move into the budget process of next year to making sure that doesn't happen. We also found, and it is phrased by my team as extravagant, and I think that that's fair if you're trying to be fair, and I don't think we should be fair to them. We found other food expenses at the SRBC, $16,259 for food and gratuities related to commission meetings. These included, again, how many times have you seen me speechless here? It's very small. The Italian in me makes it hard to be speechless. Appetizers, filet mignon, salmon, Maryland crab cakes. I mean, they didn't even buy Pennsylvania food. Side dishes and desserts. What is going on in their head that they would even think that's okay? Now, by the way, if they're going into their own pocket to pay for it because they want to have some food at the meeting, I get that. And by the way, while I don't do it, if they were stopping at Sheetz to get a chicken Caesar wrap or something, again, I'm not going to lose my mind over that, even though I don't do it. But I can understand that if you're traveling on the road or something. Filet mignon and salmon, we got, again, kids going to school hungry in Pennsylvania every single day. Yet charging the taxpayers for filet mignon and salmon and Maryland crab cakes. Unbelievable. Now, there's also, and it doesn't stop there with the SRBC. My team also found $14,048 in what can best be described, if you're again trying to be fair, as inappropriate expenses, rewards and perks for employees. Now, listen to this. Monetary and gift cards award of $8,031. You would say, oh, what was that monetary gift card for? It's a fair question. For doing their job. That was your reward for doing a good job. Now, again, I believe good employees can be rewarded. You know how you do that? They get a promotion. Or if there's a vacancy above them and they do a good job, you promote them. Or if somebody deserves an increase in salary because they've added more duties or something along those lines, there's an appropriate process to do that. We all manage employees. We do that all the time. That's an appropriate process. And it is a public process. Doing it this way, they were hoping no one would catch them. $14,048 in inappropriate expenses. That includes $8,031 in monetary gift card rewards, a holiday party expense of $3,074, a picnic, $1,585, $100 gift card purchase for a wedding gift. And again, I am pro people buying wedding gifts. I don't think the Pennsylvania laws should be changed to ban people going in their own pocket to buy a wedding gift. I just don't know why the taxpayer resources of Pennsylvania are buying these wedding gifts. Flower purchases totaling $458 for administrative professionals day. Now again, God bless them. Buy flowers for your administrative professionals. Just, can you do me a favor and the taxpayers of Pennsylvania a favor and just go into your own pocket and do it, as opposed to trying to be some hero for doing it while billing the taxpayers for it? Unbelievable. And I think part of this just goes to a consistent theme of arrogance at the SRBC and assuming no one would ever know. You know, my high school football coach said, and I don't think it was his original quote, but he would tell it to us all the time. Character is what you do when no one is looking. Let me repeat that. Character is what you do when no one is looking. Now, again, there could be some spin master at SRBC that's cooking up, well, this wasn't from the direct pot that the General Assembly gave. I'm sure they're going to have a couple comments about that as well, but I'm just here to tell you, I don't want to hear that crap. These panels are not private businesses. They are governmental bodies that must be accountable for every last penny they spend. Now, regarding the Delaware River Basin Commission, my audit showed that it was unable to provide itemized receipts for $472 in payments to restaurants. Not good, but relative to the SRBC, I would say it does pale in comparison. Now, from a policy perspective, because I think there are important policy improvements that can be made at these two commissions to improve their ability to better protect our water, serve as a better partner for the other states in the commission, and make sure that businesses and taxpayers aren't hit with higher fees and the need for more taxpayer resources. Specifically, Pennsylvanians are missing out on some of the benefits that save New York and New Jersey businesses and municipalities money. Applicants in New York and New Jersey do not pay the DRBC application fees for discharges into the basin. But because Pennsylvania failed to allow the implementation of one process, one permit program, applicants here could up paying fees to both DEP and the DRBC. Again, that is a policy change that took place in New York and New Jersey that needs to happen in Pennsylvania to make sure that, first of all, the fees are appropriate, but also it is a more efficient way to go about doing the permitting process. That needs to get fixed immediately. I'm also recommending that both commissions overhaul their longstanding and out-of-date agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Specifically, the SRBC's Memorandum of Understanding with DEP is nearly 20 years old. That's when Dan Mao was in high school, right?
Yes.
And the DRBC's administrative agreement with DEP is more than 40 years old. I don't need to tell anyone here that a lot has changed in the world in the last 20 and 40 years, respectively. Not only do the commissions need wholly updated agreements, they also need additional written operational guidance in coordinating with DEP to preserve our water supply and the water quality. Both audits also show that most signatory policy parties to the commissions, including Pennsylvania, are not making agreed-upon financial contributions, and that does include the federal government. That's unacceptable, and I do believe that as Pennsylvanians, we should be driving hard to get everybody to do their fair part. In fairness, Delaware is the one state that's doing their part in both commissions, and we got to be fair. Delaware is doing their part, and they're only part of the DRBC, by the way. The federal government has made no payments in nearly a decade to either commission. That is unacceptable, and I must have to point out, even though I'm a Democrat, that started under President Obama. So that is unacceptable. Calling on the Trump administration and the new Democratic majority in the House and the Senate majority on the Republican side to change that moving forward. This is a federal obligation as well. Now, I also want to mention that to suggest, because I've heard this before, that the commissions are underfunded. Again, we went through top to bottom. That is not, I want to repeat, not what my team found. Specifically, not only with some of the alcohol purchases, but the SRBC has a $10.5 million surplus or reserve. DRBC is about $4 million. But when you're throwing away over $1,000 in alcohol, the last thing I want to hear is how tough and how tight your finances are. In conclusion, I do want to say this as a thank you to both commissions. They were cooperative throughout the audit, and there was never any resistance to any of the information that we sought. And that is something that they should have done, but we have not always seen from other agencies and other school districts. So I do want to say thank you to them for that. Now I'm going to invite some of the legislators that are here to make a few comments as well. Start with, well, we'll go right from here and we'll work our way back. So Senator-elect Kristen Phillips-Hill. Thank you.
I want to express all of our gratitude to the Auditor General and his team for completing this audit. This has been about a 3.5-year journey for me that started when elected officials, locally elected officials in the borough of Shrewsbury contacted me. They are absolutely thrilled at the work that the Auditor General has done. They are very grateful as well. They are sitting in traffic on Interstate 83, and I know that they very much wanted to be here today. Buck Buchanan reached out to me in exasperation and said, you know, we have these municipal water wells, and we've had them for decades. And we have monitoring systems that DEP approved and have in place, and we provide everything that DEP wants. And now the Susquehanna River Basin Commission is asking us to spend $121,000 to put in a different monitoring system because they're not really happy with the data that they're getting from the DEP-approved monitoring system. And you know, we're just a little borough of 4,000 people. What are we going to do? How can we afford this? And here's the message I want to send to every person in Pennsylvania. If you have a problem, if you are a local elected official, if you are a private citizen, if you are a small business, whoever you are, please let your elected officials know what your problem is, because we don't know everything. I took that information, began to do some research, found like-minded colleagues in the Susquehanna River Basin Commission who talked with their constituents and said, we've got the same problems. We went to the chairman of the House State Government Committee. We held hearings. And the one that was really, really pivotal for me was in Selinsgrove at Susquehanna University when I began a line of questioning with the executive director of the Susquehanna River Basin Commission, Andrew Dayhoff, and asked him, who is he responsible to? And at the end of the day, he said, they're really not responsible to anyone. Well, who ultimately has oversight over you? Well, the commissioners of the Susquehanna River Basin Commission, meaning each of the governors of the states, as well as the person who heads up the Army Corps of Engineers. Well, don't we appropriate money to you? Aren't our small businesses, our local governments paying you excessive amounts of fees and fines? Can we audit you? Well, we would let you look at our books. So I called Eugene and I said, can you audit them? He said, I don't have the authority to do it. And I said, well, how can we fix that? And we worked together. We crafted language that went into the fiscal code bill in 2017 that gave him the authority to go in and look at anything that he felt needed to be looked at. And then he said to me, you know, I don't know if I'm going to have the funds to do this. So then we figured out a way to do that as well. We actually had the Susquehanna River Basin Commission pay for the audit because they fussed a bit at us, but in light of the fact that they're sitting on $10 million of reserves, I think it was an appropriate use of their funds. What I can tell you is that when I wrote my first editorial about this, I entitled it Government Gone Wild. When Eugene and I talked last week, he said, you will be happy to know that you were right. You were on the right track. There's a problem here. I can't share a lot of details with you, but I'm glad you warned me to take blood pressure medication before I came here today. I am exceedingly unhappy that with the blatant disregard that they have shown for hardworking Pennsylvanians' money. And I can tell you this, that going forward, we are going to comb through the work that has been done, and we will be taking further action going forward to make sure that this never happens again. Again, thank you very much for your work. Really appreciate it. Representative Dan Mao.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Eugene, for the work that you did. I appreciate it very, very much. This has been a journey for several years now to, well, I'd say an eye-opening journey for several years about the arrogance of these unchecked organizations. I won't call them an agency because they are not an agency of Pennsylvania. One of the things that was missed, I think, is in all the speeches you've heard, in all the data that's ever been put out there, and one of the worst things that can go on with an organization that is tapping our taxpayers for funds to run their organizations is there's absolutely no elected person that's sitting in an oversight position to make sure that their constituents' dollars are spent well. We had several hearings up and down the valley. We brought in people from the SRBC. The takeaway from those hearings by most of the members was, wow, Dayhoff is one arrogant person. That was the takeaway. That was my feeling when I first met him the very first time sitting in my senator's office, and it just stunned me that you can't touch me attitude. And when they are allowed to spend money the way they spend it, even though it might not sound like gigantic amounts of money, you think about it, when they throw tens of thousands of dollars of fees and costs onto our small municipalities, our small water companies, that are hanging on by a thread, even though it's only $5 or $10 per month that each one of these users of water in a small borough that might have to pay extra per month. Some of those people are down to their last nickels per month to survive. And they're using their money to buy alcohol and filet mignon at meetings. Where we need to go with this is first we need to change the people at the top, because they've lost touch with what reality is. They're totally out of touch with the people that are providing them a salary. Those people back home that are opening their faucets and paying through the nose in gigantic fees for what they do. So we need changes there. I will lead the charge on making sure that there's a request from at least the House and hopefully the Senate as well to make changes in those regards. I'm also going to help lead the charge along with now Senator Phillips Hill to hopefully get some legislative oversight on the commission for anything that happens within Pennsylvania. To me, I feel it is a big oversight of the compact to not have some elected officials from both bodies not in those meetings when it comes to things that happen within Pennsylvania's boundaries. It is wrong. They are rogue. The secretaries of the environmentals, here it's DEP, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, they're the ones that are appointed by the governors. And in most cases, they don't even get involved. They send alternates. And they basically let them do what they want, and it's time to rein them in. It's time that our small municipalities don't get threat letters of $1 million fees and fines if they don't comply. It's time to stop that arrogance. It's time to stop that pressure. It's time to get elected officials overseeing what goes on in Pennsylvania. That's why our constituents elected us, and that's what we should be doing. At that, I will just once again say thank you, Attorney General or Auditor General. I gave the promotion. I truly appreciate you getting this ball rolling so that we can proceed down the road. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I would just like to reiterate what my colleague Dan Mao said. It's about accountability and transparency. And when you give up these powers to an unelected, unaccountable bureaucracy, you take the power really away from the citizens. And that's really our concern. There's no recourse for action for any of their activities that they have. And this mindset that the majority of their funding comes from fees and fines, and therefore they're not accountable, is absolutely unacceptable. You can call it a fee, fine, whatever it may be. It's still taxpayer dollars. These are still public dollars, and they have to be accountable to that. And there has to be some kind of oversight that citizens have recourse for action, which they currently do not have. And so that is another area of action I plan to work with my colleagues on, is to make sure that we have some kind of accountability in there for their actions going forward, and that an elected official has a voice on that board so that the citizens are truly represented. So I thank you. I thank you for your taking the time and being so thorough, and I'm anxious to dig into that report.
Absolutely. With that, more than happy to take any questions. No questions. Again, thank you all for being here, and again, appreciate my colleagues being here, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.